And away we go. Dan, Kyle, Pierre, and Pierre, the Toronto Maple Leafs road trip. It kicked off Saturday in Montreal, but technically it really kicks off Wednesday night, tonight in Columbus. And we have a team that is desperate for something good to happen. And Matthew Knies is going to play in this game.
Well, that's good news for Toronto, and you hope that Auston Matthews can play as well, and you hope that Nick Roy can play as well for Toronto. It's all hands on deck right now for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They have no wiggle room. Kyle, I think you would agree to that. The truth of the matter is that was a huge setback on Saturday night in Montreal. They've got to find a way to create some energy and some momentum for their group. Getting Matthew Knies back is a nice start. It's not the best, but it's a nice start for them.
Is it going to be enough that these guys are potentially both back in the lineup? But what other changes need to be made in order to turn this ship around?
I think Brad Treliving's got to get proactive with his pro scouting staff, Kyle. The truth of the matter is they're not good enough on defense right now. They're not good enough in moving the puck from defense to forwards. We talked about that on Monday, on McGuire Mondays. And to me, the biggest thing is the forwards have to come back and support. A lot of times there's just too big a gap between their forward group and their defensive group, and because of that, you're seeing this disjointed play. Craig Berube can fix this team, but the players need to pay attention and listen to the message that Craig Berube is presenting.
And this road trip you mentioned on Monday, Pierre, this is a road trip that could define what happens for the Toronto Maple Leafs season. And you weren't being out there with speculation and trying to ramp it up more than it is, but you believe that what happens on this road trip, the Toronto Maple Leafs will know where their season is headed.
100%. And the reason why I say that is if you look at just the Eastern Conference in particular, who thought the New York Islanders would be where they are right now? Who thought that the Buffalo Sabres would be pushing the way they're pushing right now? Who thought that with Florida, with all the injuries, would be pushing the way they're pushing right now? Who thought Tampa, with all their injuries, would be pushing where they are right now? A lot of people doubted Ottawa when Brady Tkachuk went down. Now Tommy Shabbat's down. They're still winning. So the problem is the landscape that they're presented with in Toronto, you can't dig too deep a hole, because if you do, you're never getting out. And right now, they're close to not getting out. This road trip is their season. I'm convinced of it.
Yeah, Pierre, it's very easy to look at the standings and go, well, they're actually only 9 points away from first place in the conference. But the truth is, it becomes at some point about the number of teams you have to climb over to get to the playoffs, not just the amount of points, right?
I love what you just said, Kyle, because it's spot on. Every team's going to play one another, especially in the Eastern Conference after Christmas. And that's when it becomes a problem, to your point. All those teams ahead of you, you might win, but the other guys are winning too. There's always going to be a winner and a loser. So if they're ahead of you, you're not getting any traction in the standings. And that's a big issue, I think, for the Toronto Maple Leafs right now. That's why this road trip, Dan and Kyle, is so important for them. It really is.
Pierre, who's in worse shape, the Leafs or the Oilers? The Oilers have allowed a league worst 95 goals. They allowed 8 on Tuesday night. That was the final score of that game? 8-3 to the Dallas Stars. They lost in the NHL's lone game. So who's in worse shape?
Yeah, without a doubt, the Edmonton Oilers. The organizational expectation after 2 trips to the Stanley Cup final, this is going to be our year. We're going to win the Cup. We're going to go there because of all this experience. They might not get a chance to play for the Cup. It's like the lottery. In order to win it, you got to be in it. Well, if you're not in the Stanley Cup playoffs, you're not gotten a chance to win the Stanley Cup. So for them, it's really important for them to start to wake up. I'm convinced more than anything else, Jeff Jackson, who's the president of hockey operations, and Stan Bowman, the general manager, they need to scare that team straight. They need to make a move. And it can't just be one of those supplemental moves. They need to trade a name player to scare that team straight. Their organizational concepts defensively, forwards to defense. We talk about Toronto not being great. I can tell you right now, Edmonton's 5 times worse. They need to fix what ails them. And I think one of the things they have to do, scare those players straight. They really do.
But come on, Pierre, you can scare them. You can wear Halloween masks to the rink every single day. Doesn't make up for the fact that they need a goalie.
No, that's a fair point. That's 100%. But it took them this long to figure that out, Dan. Some of us have been talking about this for the last 3 years. So that was on them to make the moves in the summertime. And they chose not to do it. They're saying, well, we couldn't get this guy. We couldn't get that. Last I checked, Darcy Kempfer was drafted by the Minnesota Wild. and he won the Stanley Cup with Colorado. Go look around the league. There have been goalies that have been moved. Bobrovsky, didn't start his career with the Florida Panthers. Go evaluate. Look at where all these there have been goalies that have moved. Marc-Andre Fleury started in Pittsburgh. Look where he finished. I mean, with all due respect to the exhibition game that he played in for Pittsburgh, he didn't finish there. So no, I think Edmonton miscalculated on some of their goaltending situations, and I think they really miscalculated and overrated some of their players, especially on defense.
So the move in Edmonton then maybe is to ship someone else out to wake everyone up. But the move in Toronto is clearly trying to find a missing piece, is it not? Because even with these guys coming back from injury, we were saying that before the injuries, something's off of this team, and Trey Living needs to get to work and find someone.
Spot on. And here's the biggest thing is get a puck-moving defenseman. Get somebody that can really run your power play. And I know people in Toronto don't want to hear this. Your power play had no problems when Mitchell Marner was running it. It did not have any problems. You need, and it's not a knock on Morgan Riley, who's a really good player, but he's not a power play quarterback. They need to find somebody that can run their power play. They need somebody that's an elite first pass passer coming out of his own zone. They need that more than anything else. I know people say, oh, they need a top 6 forward. When you get all your players healthy and back, Toronto's lineup up front is actually not bad. They need to move the puck out of their own zone. They need to defend harder and faster in their own zone, and they need to transition the puck quicker out of their own zone.
There are two things I will die on the hill defending until that day happens for me, Pierre. And that is Isaiah Kiner-Falefa should have had a bigger lead at third base in Game 7 of the World Series. And the Toronto Maple Leafs should have traded Auston Matthews right after he finished the season with 69 goals in the 23-24 season when he was at his highest value.
And who would you have traded him for, Dan?
Oh, you could have got anyone, Pierre. You could have told a team, I want 3 first-round picks. I want 4 of your players. You could have got anything.
I think you could have got a lot, for sure. I would agree with that 100%. But what do you tell your fan base in Toronto when you trade a guy that had 69 goals?
You say, trust the process.
It's worked before, that messaging.
That's why he's O'Toole. I'm McGuire and you're Andrews. He gets it.
Okay, to be fair here, Pierre, though, I mean, at some point, is that maybe an option this team has to visit? Because let's be honest right now, the way things are going, they're as well suited to sign Jack Dawson, Leonardo DiCaprio's character from the movie Titanic, because he's the only person you can get right now that's got so much familiarity with the bottom of the Atlantic.
I was wondering where that was going.
How appropriate is that coming from Kyle when I'm in Belfast right now?
Yeah, exactly.
Titanic Museum.
Exactly.
That's very well done by you. Who's the most consistent player for Toronto right now? John Tavares. I think we would all agree. Are we all in unison on that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Auston Matthews needs to take a bite out of whatever John Tavares is eating and say, I got to get there. Willie Nylander's got to take a bite out of the very same thing. There's certain guys that need to elevate, and those are 2 guys that need to elevate. Matthew Knies needs to elevate. He needs to bite out of whatever Johnny T is eating right now. There's certain guys who can be better, and I believe they will be better. I really believe that.
Who's the happiest guy in the NHL right now? Mitch Marner?
No, I'm going to say Nathan McKinnon. Nathan McKinnon is shredding it, man. That guy's at another level. He's just so good right now. Everybody in Colorado's having a ton of fun playing hockey. Look at those guys every single game, Dan and Kyle. They're having a ton of fun. But I think Mitchell Marner's having fun. He's in a no-tax state. He never has to shovel snow, and he plays with more times than not Jack Eichel. I mean, it's a pretty good position to be in. It is. It's a pretty good position to be in.
I heard this description of Nate McKinnon. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Someone described Nate McKinnon's skating as he skates like he's angry at the ice.
He's the most powerful player in the league. He has been for a long time. One of the most eye-opening things for me when I was doing my old job inside the glass for NBC before we lost the rights was being in the pod in Edmonton for 2.5 months. Colorado was there for a good portion of that 2.5 months. In all my years, 37 years in the league, I never heard a guy as intense, challenging teammates openly on the bench as Nathan McKinnon. So he's not just angry at the ice. If guys aren't playing to a certain level, he holds everybody accountable, including himself, by the way, and his coaches. He's a phenomenal leader. He's not a perfect taste for everybody, let's put it that way. But I'll tell you right now, from being around winning a lot, fortunately in my career, he's a guy that understands the concept of winning. He really does.
Okay, Pierre, I have 2 points about Colorado Avalanche right now as we transition this conversation. For anyone at home with a BetRivers account, watch the live betting for when they get down a goal and take their odds. I've done that 3 times. They've had lost and they've won 3 times in a row because it's like a lock when they get into those plus numbers with an early deficit. Secondly, Scott Wedgwood has been incredible in net for them. Where does he now sit in the hierarchy of needs for a Canadian Olympic team looking for some stability between the pipes?
He definitely has to be in the conversation. I've read the reports. As I said, I'm over in Ireland right now. I've read the reports from the Canadian media in particular saying that Hockey Canada now has them on their 90-player list. They should have them on there. The 2 Woods that are there have been really good in goal. You know, they really have been. And so I think the truth is that Logan Thompson's been a player that you got to look at. Darcy Kempfer's been a player you got to look at. Scott Wedgwood's a player you got to look at. And obviously Jordan Binnington's a player you got to look at. But do I think that Samuel Montembeault is going to be the goalie for Canada at the Olympics? I don't think he'll be on the team. So I think there's already going to be some changeover from the last time, which was the 4 Nations. And I have to think that Scott Wedgwood's a very real candidate to be part of that Team Canada.
I asked EJ Raddick this question. I want to get your take. Pierre, what happened to the French-Canadian goalie pipeline?
Great question. So what I would say about that is there was a run with Brodeur. Well, it started with Roy. So go Patty, and then you go Marty, then you go Roberto Luongo, you go Jose Theodore, Eric Fichot. You can go all these different guys, and it was really good. But then you had the Allaire brothers leave. So
that's what he said. You're both the same point. Yeah.
So I didn't know, but I just say so. Francois left to go to Anaheim, and Benoit left to go to New York. And all of a sudden, all these guys that were going to replace them as goalie coaches, they weren't as good as either the Allaire brothers. So I think that kind of hurt the pipeline a little bit.
Okay.
So, Pierre, is this a unique position for the Canadian Olympic team and Team Canada in general? When looking at goaltending, it's always been sort of driven by pedigree, which has served them very well. But right now, is this a unique time in history where they simply have to ride the hot hands?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit. Yeah, I think that's very fair. 2014, obviously, Carey was really good. Carey Price was really, really good. But that Canadian team wasn't losing to anybody. I mean, if you go, I was there, I did all the games. That Canadian team was so good. They were so well coached, and all those players were really the top-end players. They were right in the middle of their prime. I think the hot hand's going to matter, Kyle. I really do. I think that's a great way to look at it. I truly do. And the fact that Hockey Canada, Kyle and Dan, added Wedgwood to the list of goalies, that speaks to what Kyle's point is about the hot hand. I do think they're probably looking at that saying, we got to ride somebody, and potentially it's going to be him.
Looking at the Vancouver Canucks, we talked about the Calgary Flames last time we spoke about who you would want on that team is they're going to be sellers. The Vancouver Canucks looks like are going to be in the same situation. If you're the Toronto Maple Leafs, are you handpicking anyone off that team?
Well, if I could get Hughes, I would take Quinn Hughes.
He's supposedly the only one not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If he's not available, then I'll tell you who I would take. And I know he's a little bit older now. Tyler Myers is a really good player. Tyler Myers he's a tower of power. He's a right-hand shot. He can skate like the wind. He's not as physical as you would like, but over the course of his career, he's become more and more physical. I remember doing World Juniors with him. I remember broadcasting a lot of his games, whether it was in Buffalo or his Rookie of the Year or Winnipeg or even in Vancouver. I've always respected him so much. He's an amazing athlete, and it kind of would appreciate this. Bigger guys usually take longer to fill out and become what they are. I think that's what happened with Tyler Myers. That being said, if you were to ask me, is there one D-man I'd want off that team besides Quinn Hughes, it would be Tyler Myers.
You're right about that, Pierre. I'm 46 years old, and I promise you I'm still filling out. Maybe not for the most athletic reasons, but I'm definitely getting there. But okay, so this is the time of year where we start seeing pretenders become sellers. And this, it's opening up. You're hearing more and more rumors. Tanev's absence with this team is just flattening their defensive pairing structure. Where are they shopping right now for a guy that can step into these 3 pairings of defensemen and, move the puck, as you say, and fill this role? Who are they looking at?
It's not that easy to do because nobody wants to give those players away. I thought one of the bigger injuries in the preseason was when Marshall Rafai went down. Now he's a left-hand shot. He's a kid out of Harvard. I know his body worked really well because I trained him for a lot of years, and he can really skate and move the puck. And I thought this could have been his breakout year. Obviously, he hasn't had the opportunity to do it because of an injury in a preseason game. But I thought he was a guy that would have been able to help. I don't know where they can turn right now, except to maybe Vancouver or Calgary. Rasmus Anderson, Tyler Myers, those would be two names that would be right at the top. I know I talked to both of you last year about this player. I don't know if Nashville has an appetite to trade Roman Josi or not. I thought he would have been the perfect tonic for what was going on in Toronto last year. I think he can still help, even though I know he's been hurt this year. He'd be another player. I know Nashville's going to do something. They're going to do more than something. They're going to do a lot of somethings. I would be talking to Barry Trotz. I'd be talking to Patrick Alvin. I'd be talking to Craig Conroy. Those are three. And I'd probably be talking to Doug Armstrong in St. Louis, too. Those would be, rather than talk about players, I'd talk to those four GMs. Because I think that's four places where you could probably find what ails you. I'll use a player's name. Justin Falk just played his 1,000th game for St. Louis. Right-hand shot. I'd be talking to them. I'd be talking to them about Justin Falk. He can run a power play. He can shoot the puck through a wall. He's a high-character person, and I know he's really popular with his teammates. There's just one example of a player. But there are guys out there that you could talk about, for sure.
Barry Trotz is pissed. Hey, let's play 1 degree of Pierre McGuire. Kyle, where do you want me to point to on my wall of hockey cards?
Like just immediately behind your head, Dan, base of your neck. So one level down. Yeah, right there. Right there.
Oh, this could be a tough one. This is a card from the WHL.
Ooh.
Darcy Jerome.
You got me.
I've never seen or heard of this person in my life. Darcy Jerome.
You got me, Kyle. Thank you.
Did I win? Did I win?
Oh, because I'm traumatized. I'm going to have to do this.
Yeah, so in Pierre's defense, these were cards. I had a WHL set of cards from the Canadian Hockey League, and I don't think Darcy went anywhere.
So you got me on that one.
Well, give him another one because I like the stories. You pick, Dan.
Okay. Well, I'll go right next to him. Jeff Chikrin.
Oh my gosh! So I coached Chick in two cities, Pittsburgh and Hartford. One of my favorites. He tried to be a referee in the National Hockey League. His son obviously is playing with the Washington Capitals. Just got a huge contract extension last spring. Big fan of the family. Big fan of the man. I'll never forget a night we were playing in Calgary, and they had a pretty robust team at that time. And Scotty Bowman was our coach. He said, "Make sure Chikrin's wound up and ready to go." And I said, "He will be." And he was ready to go, and right off the opening faceoff, he got in a heck of a scrap. I think it was with Ronnie Stern, if I remember correctly. I'm a huge fan of the family, huge fan of the person, and I just can't say enough good things about Jeff. I have a soft spot in my heart for him. I brought him to Hartford after I left Pittsburgh because of what I thought of him.
Pierre, if you had known the first guy, Darcy Jerome, then it would have been very strange because he never played a full season in the WHL. His rookie year, he played 41 games for the Moose Jaw Warriors and had 11 points, and then played a handful of games after that. So,
thank you. I had no idea, and I apologize to Darcy Jerome, but
he's 52 now.
I never had a chance to see him play, so I don't remember him.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Thanks, buddy.
Oh my gosh, I love being with you two gentlemen. Thanks a lot. Have a great rest of the day.
Do you live in Ireland now? Are you coming back?
I'm coming back on Saturday, and then I'm coming back right after Christmas for the women's tournament that's here. 4 U.S. college teams are going to be here so I'll be doing the show just after Christmas with you gentlemen from here. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for the invite. See you, Pierre.
Happy Thanksgiving to our American viewers. Thanks a lot. Take care, everybody.
Yeah, it is. Thanks. Oh, crap. We got football. Lots of football.
Lots of football. Some teams playing on short notice tomorrow. Man, thanks. That's the best part about the American Thanksgiving, that Thursday slate of football games.
Let's see what we got for Thursday football. You always have the Packers. You got the Lions and Packers at 1.
Chiefs, Cowboys.
Chiefs season is once again teetering, and Bengals and Ravens is the nightcap.
That's an unfortunate order of
Both
games.
of those games, Kyle, you know I like my overs. Chiefs, Cowboys, 52.5. Ravens, Bengals, 52.5.
Well, I think Joe Burrow's back now, right? Can anyone confirm that in the production room? I'm pretty sure he's playing tomorrow night.
Yep,
So
looks like he is. He's
yeah.
okay.
So that's could be a shootout, baby. And can you imagine multiple 50-point games on Thanksgiving Thursday? That's exactly what we need.
That's exactly what we need, and that's what the Leafs need. If they lose tonight in Columbus, they need any distraction they can get. We'll see you back here Friday, Kyle.